Alrighty, everyone. So welcome, friends and neighbors, to this year's Hanson Town Forum. My name is Sean Keeley. I'm the town moderator. And we are here today to hear from the candidates who are going to be on the ballot for the May 19th election for town offices. So if we could all rise and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first of all, I'd like to thank our hosts. The Town Forum is put on through the hard work of a joint effort of the Democrat and Republican town committees, and Kathy DePasqua-Egan is the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee, and Michelle Mills is the chairman of the Republican Town Committee. So thank you both for all your hard work putting this together. What we're going to do is we're going to go in reverse order of the ballot and call up the candidates for the various offices. They'll have 1 to 3 minutes to make an opening statement. Any questions that the audience has, we'll be happy to hear them. And each candidate will have a chance to respond to every question, although they need not to. And then we'll have a 1 to 3 minute closing argument. I've spent too much time in court. 1 to 3 minute closing statement. Again, this is a forum, not a debate, so no one will be debating each other or challenging each other per se. But it's just a chance for everybody to get to know who's on the ballot and where they stand. So without any further ado, if we could have the candidates for Water Commissioner. It's a 3-year term, and William J. Garvey and Dennis C. O'Connell.
They won't be speaking.
Oh, they're not speaking?
No.
Well, William Garvey and Dennis O'Connell will be on the ballot for Water Commissioner. We also have a candidate for a 3-year term on the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District Committee, and that's Robert W. Hayes.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bob Hayes. I've been a town resident for over 30 years here in the town of Hanson. I came a long way from the town of Whitman. So hence Whitman-Hanson Regional School Committee. I brought up 2 children in this town. They both graduated Whitman-Hanson Regional High School. They both own homes in this town. They're very well vested, as my wife and I are. I have 1 grandchild, and I'm hoping they're bringing that young man up to go to Whitman-Hanson Regional School District also. I've been on the committee for 15 years. I've been the chair for 11 years. I'm about education. I think that education is everything. If you don't have it, you see some other communities that don't have a good educational system, and it reflects directly on the communities, whether it be on the people in the communities or on their home values. It's a big part of what people do. Education is pretty much a lot. I know it costs a lot, and we get a lot of complaints about taxes, but education is a proven fact. Without it, you have issues. So I would be more than happy to take any questions anyone has.
Do we have any questions?
Are you running unopposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. If anybody who has a question, if you could please state your name and your address, that would be helpful.
Ken Duty, 257 County Road. Bob, are you running unopposed?
Yes, I am.
That makes it easier.
Any other questions? Well, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, and I would like to thank the 4 candidates for the Board of Selectmen. As you know, it's always good to have a choice. I have run unopposed many times, but it's great democracy to have 4 candidates come forward to want to run for 2 seats. We should be very, very happy that all 4 of them have come forward. It gives the people a decision on who to elect and who not to elect. Thank you, and good luck to everyone.
Next, we have the trustee of Public Library, and it's a 3-year term. We have Linda A. Wall and Corinne C. Cafardo. And is Corinne here? No. I do have an email from Linda Wall, which I'll read. I am running for re-election to the position of trustee of the Hanson Public Library. As a library trustee, I've worked collaboratively with our library director and other trustees to provide outstanding library services for our community and would appreciate your support as I seek the opportunity to continue to serve as a trustee of the Hanson Public Library. I hope you will consider voting for me on May 19th. Thank you. And also thank you to the Democratic and Republican town committees for sponsoring this event. I hope that I'll be able to view the interviews on cable stations prior to the election. Hopefully everybody will have a chance. So thank you very much for Linda's statement. The next office is constable for a
Just a question. This is Mary Ann Damasio, 552 Main Street. How many openings for library trustee?
There are 2 openings. So vote for not more than 2, and there are 2 candidates. The next office is constable. It's a 3-year term. There are 2 candidates on the ballot, and you can vote for both if you wish, Stephen W. Lyons and August P. Silva. So I know Mr. Silva is here. If Stephen is here as well, please come up. Please come up.
Is he here?
I don't think so, but please come up, August.
I usually do it alphabetically. L comes before S. Okay, if I stand over here?
Sure.
Right here.
That's up to the cable.
No.
Is it okay?
That's fine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Silva.
There's a reason for that. As a retired teacher, that usually was a response. I, August B. Silva, am a candidate for re-election for the office of constable. When I moved to town of Hanson in 1961, I first became part of Hanson. In 1964, with my first appointments to the office of auxiliary police and the special police, Hanson became a part of me, and at that time it continued for the last 54 years while holding appointed elected positions. As a constable, I performed these required duties and responsibilities, post the town warrants, announcing regular and special meetings and elections, bylaw changes, and duties as requested by the selectman or the town clerk. I enjoy serving the town of Hanson, and I have found ways to deal with people of all ages because many of them know me. When I accept a duty or responsibility, I do my utmost to fulfill that responsibility as required, and then some. Availability to serve and serving in a proficient manner are also very important. Response time is another major factor, and knowing what to do and when to do it is very important for a constable. My experience and knowledge are what helps to make doing the job right in a timely manner. In addition to office as a constable, I am still a member of the Auxiliary Police and the Memorial Day and Patriotic Observance Committee. My former membership on boards and committees in the town of Hanson, Selectmen, Planning Board, Culture Council, Council for Elder Affairs, Civil Defense Officer, Continuous School Building Study Committee, and other committees. I was a teacher in the head school for 21 years, and as a retired educator, I had the honor to serve for 15 years as the president of the Plymouth County chapter of retired teachers in Massachusetts. I am a Korean War Army veteran with 2 years active duty, 28 years active Army Reserve, and 9 years in active Army Reserve. In addition, I served 9 years as a member of the Massachusetts Military Reserve. My federal military service qualified me to become a member of the American Legion, and for the past 55 years, and during that time, I had the honor to serve as a local post commander and a District 10 commander. It has been an honor to serve the town of Hanson for the last 49 years as a constable. Your vote on May 19th for my re-election as constable shall greatly be appreciated. Thanks for being here today to hear and see the candidates. I thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Silva?
What are like 3 of the things that a constable constable does.
Your name and address, please?
Kathleen DePasqua Egan, 63 Mount Hanson Street.
You want me to hear what the duties of the constable do?
Just like 3.
Well, when there's post-town meetings, I receive a phone call from the selectman's office, most likely, or the town clerk, and tell me about the town meetings, whether special. Also for elections, I receive notice. If there is a approval of bylaws from the state, I receive notice to take and post out throughout the town. And it's also our responsibility to post it all throughout the town, to cover every district in the town. So I go from one end of the town to the other, and if it's a location, I post the warrant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, please? Your name and address, sir.
Bruce Young, 594 Indian Head Street. I'd like to ask, what is the exorbitant salary that the town has to pay?
My absorbent salary is, if you all can see that. And to me, it was an honor to take and serve as a constable. And I've been doing that. And you hear my list of my functions over the years and what it is for the town, for the county, for the state, and the federal level. So,
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much,
you're
Mr.
very
Sullivan.
welcome. Thank everybody.
Next, we have a candidate for the Hanson Housing Authority, Benjamin J. Fletcher. Is Mr. Fletcher here? I don't think so. Amazingly enough, no one is running for cemetery commissioner. I think that's happened before. For the Board of Health, Arlene M. Diaz?
She couldn't make it.
She couldn't make it. That's a 3-year term, and you can vote for Arlene or write someone in, but Arlene is the only one on the ballot. For assessor, Kathleen Keefe.
She couldn't make
She could not make
it.
it.
She said thank you.
For the record, Kathleen Keefe said thank you. And that leaves the selectmen, which is our big contested race this year. So if I could ask the selectmen's candidates to come up, and then I'll introduce you after you're already up here. But just before we get going, I would imagine that the audience will have a few questions for our candidates for selectmen. One thing that I just want to lay out there is that we've had trouble in past forums with people asking kind of personal questions or talking about individuals within the town. If I think a question's out of bounds, I'll say so, and we can move on. But otherwise, look forward to some interesting questions from the audience. So first, to my far right, we have Wes Blouse. We have Joe Weeks.
Hello.
And then Matthew Dyer and Don Howard.
How do you do?
So I think we'll start to the left, and Mr. Howard, if you would like to make your opening statement.
Oh. Well, Don Howard. I married Claire Felix Howard. She's sitting out back here. We got married in 1958, and I built my house in Hanson in 1960. And we're still living in the same home. We celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary last April 26th. We have 3 children, Diane Nickel, Dawn Marie Bloss, and Daryl Howard. And we have 6 grandchildren. We have Dana and Kaylee Bloss, and we have Diane. Oh, grandchildren I'm on. Mary and Jason Nickel, and Corey and Cassie Howard. They live in town. I've just served for 10 years now as selectman. I enjoy working for the town for the simple reason Hanson is a bedroom community. And all the tax revenue comes in from the residents of the town of Hanson. And I'm very concerned of that because we don't have any business or industry to supply us with any extra money. So that's why I'm running for selectman again. I'm on a few committees. I don't have to list them. If unless somebody wants to, but I really like to work for another 3 years as selectman for the town of Hanson.
Well, thank you very much, Don. So, Mr. Dyer.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matthew Dyer, and I'm proud to be running for Hanson Selectman. Having grown up here in the town, I've grown for a passion of Hanson and giving back and public policy. And I'm really thrilled to have this opportunity to combine all of these passions to continue to give back to our community. I believe that it's time for us to diversify our tax revenue, make sure that our government is efficient so businesses want to come here and settle and not get tied up in red tape. So that way we can diversify our tax base, so that way we can provide better services and make sure that we have a good education so our kids can go on and move out, but they choose to come back to Hanson because it's the community that they love. So with that being said, I'm really excited to be running, and I hope to have your vote on May 19th. Thank you.
And next we have Mr. Weeks.
First of all, hello to everybody. I appreciate you putting this together, and thank you to the Hanson Democratic and Republican Town Committees for putting this together. Thank you for the candidates for putting your name in the ring and volunteering for such an important seat to represent the folks of Hanson here. A little bit about myself. I've been a lifelong resident of Hanson, moved out when I was about 21, lived in Rockland for a few years, served on the Finance Committee there. My wife and I got married in 2010, decided that Hanson, we wanted to move back home, so we only looked in Hanson and we bought a house here. And ever since then, you might see it if you're in the Montponset area. It's the house that's absolutely covered in Christmas lights during Christmas time and the Halloween stuff during the Halloween time. We like to try to give back in that way if we can. Since our marriage, my wife has blessed me with 3 beautiful girls. You probably might have hopefully seen them outside there, holding a couple of signs for me. My oldest is Elizabeth. She's amazing. She dances with her younger sister, Kennedy, at the Boss Dance Studio. And she makes us very, very proud. This time she was I think a taxi cab in her recent dance recital. She did a very good job, came back with the gold. We were very proud of her with that. She loves it though. Kennedy's my middle daughter. She is just absolutely amazing. And Reagan's my newborn at 7 months old. We're very, very proud of her. She is, for better or worse, a spitting image of me. And I already have Halloween's costumes made up. She wears hair buns. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to wear the bun, put a little beard on her, and that way we both kind of a morph of each other. I think that's what we're thinking of. I've loved Hanson. My family lives in Hanson. My grandparents live in Hanson. I married Stacy Russo, who's part of the Russo Estes clan, as we like to say. And the legacy of our family is something I take pride in. Her great-great-great-grandfather is Marcus Sharan, who owned that Cranberry building up on Main Street. And one of the biggest things that I really want to focus on is revitalizing just Main Street in general, but all the streets, not just because of an aesthetics or tax base, but also there's a family legacy there that I'm just very proud of. So I want to make sure we do right by that building and that whole entire area. I think it's incredibly important, and I take pride in this environment. I've owned businesses in Hanson. My family's owned businesses in Hanson. I'm very proud of going through the schools of Hanson. It made me the person I am today. And I really hope to earn your vote on May 19th. My heart is in this place, and I'm genuinely here for the people and for the work. I've served on the planning board for the past 5 years. My term ends on May 19th. It's going to be very sad to go, and I've learned a lot of great experiences, and we started a lot of great projects. I wish to continue on as a member of the Board of Selectmen. I think it's incredibly important to have that continuity. I've served on the Capital Improvement Committee for the past 7 years, maybe 8 at this point, so I have a good understanding of some of the projects and some of the needs and helping to assist in prioritizing some of those needs given the matrix and the finances of the town. I've also served on the Hanson Housing Authority with, Mike's out there too, he's a member as well. And this is going to be my 6th year on May 19th, and I got to really get a great understanding of quality of life issues. One of the things that I think Jim McGann said recently in one of his interviews is that we do a lot of things for the kids, and they are important, and I'm a very strong believer of supporting our schools and making sure that we do it right. But we also don't want to lose focus of the people on fixed income. My grandparents are hopefully going to be blessing me with their presence tonight. We had a loss in the family, so they're at a wake right now, and they're coming back in a little bit. But I don't want to have a situation in which we forget about people on fixed income. It's incredibly important. We have to develop plans. Ideas are fantastic, but we have to develop plans that are sustainable in the long term. And I feel like I have the passion, the heart, the experience, and I can bring consistency in a way that can hopefully be methodical and mindful in that seat. So I thank you all for being here. Thank you to the people at home, and I really do hope to earn your vote on May 19th. Thank you very much.
Mr. Blouse.
What Joe said. I'm Wes Bloss, and I'm running for selectman. I'm in my 5th year of retirement after a 40-year teaching career, which enriched me and certainly defined me, made me who I am today. I'm married to a fellow teacher, colleague, best friend, Joanne Massesso Bloss, and our son Nathaniel lives with and teaches with his family up in Bethel, Maine. We are definitely a pro-education family. We're a very green family. I believe strongly that global climate change is affecting and is going to impact seriously our children. I'm a proponent of the orange bags, pay as you throw, just because it is terrifying to me how much a 2-person household can generate for trash. And the visual of those orange bags just makes me say recycle, recycle, recycle. So I think that kind of thing is very good. I spent 30 years as a Recreation Commission member and treasurer and chairman, and Joanne and I have done plays for the Recreation Drama Commission, drama program. I'm a member of the Hanson Historical Society, and I've written histories for the town library. I've worked on the Hanson Open Space Plan and the Bay Circuit Path. I'm a member of the Appalachian Mountain Club, where we've taken countless numbers of students climbing to try to make a future generation of environmentalists. I've lived in Hanson since birth, except for 4 years in Ohio at college and a 1-year sabbatical in Europe. And so I've been in continuous attendance at town meetings since 1972. I've spent my life in a community where our family has felt safe, where the roads are well maintained, and where 4,000 plus students have given us 4,000 plus reasons to be proud of this town. So I want to give something back. Hanson's given me a great life, and I think it's probably at age 67, it's time to probably do something to give back. So I'd be honored to have your support on May 19th, and thank you very much.
All right, so if we could have questions from the audience, you can direct it at all the candidates or to one candidate in particular, but please just identify yourself, your name and your address. Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Mills, 191 Captain Nathaniel Drive in Hanson. And this is a question for all of the candidates. A couple of you have touched on it. What can be done to bring more commercial and industrial establishments to Hanson, to Main Street, Route 27? Concerning the reliance for taxes of homeowners, or do you favor developing a portion of the Plymouth County Hospital for a property of some purpose?
Anybody like to start?
On the line, or?
We could.
You want me to start?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Start from left to right. Well, the first question you asked was on Main Street, was the Cranberry Company that was there for years. And over the period of years, the different rules and regulations in the town from the Conservation Commission has cut the land back to the point where it's hard to get a proper percolation test in the area. And also there's a drainage problem that comes in from Phillip Street down into that area that was never corrected after the person bought the property. I don't know what can be done with it. I'd love to see something done down there, I really would. As far as the Plymouth County Hospital reuse, I'm on the Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee, but we are having a meeting Wednesday night now at the cafeteria at the middle school, inviting all residents of Hanson who wants to come there. There'll be a discussion on what the people want to be done with the Plymouth County. I don't think it should be done with the committee that's working on it, so that we've got this arranged so that there'll be a meeting Wednesday at 7 o'clock at the middle school. And it's something that I think the residents of Hanson should decide upon. We have a lot of ideas, but everybody's idea, you can't work them. You can work them together. So is there any other question like?
Well, why don't we continue on with the, so, Mr. Dyer.
Having been in the town since, being little, I've always wished there was something here in the town. Right now we are a drive-through community and we need to have some sort of destination. What I would love to envision for Main Street is to build up our Main Street, because we would be the only community on the Old Colony line, the MBTA line, to have a walkable downtown. Plymouth doesn't have it, Kingston doesn't have it, and neither do any of the other communities. So how beautiful and how great would it be to have the only walkable downtown from the MBTA station? But you can still have a nice little downtown, but have no attraction. And what I would love to see happen would to be build a boardwalk from Main Street out to the Great Cedar Swamp. And I believe that this would attract people from all over. People from Boston, they want to escape the city, but they have no car. So they could go down to South Station, come down to Great Old Hanson, rent a bike, go ride along Burridge and the Great Cedar Swamp, come back, enjoy a nice coffee, maybe grab a drink, and then head back home. I believe that the Ocean Spray building should be multi-purpose, but that's obviously up to the landowner, where it should be apartments, condos, and retail. Because I don't think manufacturing is going to come back to Hanson because we are not near the highways. We also need to make sure that we bring in high-speed internet and maybe sewage so we can bring Main Street to its full potential. For the Old County Hospital, right now we have a study going on, and I would really like to see the results of what that committee has to say. But also, too, maybe something that we should look at would be maybe an indoor field, because right now the demand for indoor fields is at its peak. I have little cousins that are going to soccer games at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday because it's an indoor field. So maybe is that something that we should pursue, where we have a nice indoor field? People would want to build a coffee shop or some sort of retail to be near there, because look at Starland. Look at what's going on over there. So there's a lot of great opportunities here, and our town is based on conservation, and I think that is something that we should be showcasing, because not too many other communities are showcasing their nature. So with that said, thank you very much.
Mr. Weeks.
All right, so that's a very good and a very complex question, because I don't think it's necessarily easily answerable. However, there are some great ideas that we can put out there. I do think that the town of Hanson is more of a conservation town, and we are somewhat of a bedroom community at this point. But I think there are some pretty good things that we can do in the long run. I think that showcasing some of the walking trails and things that we would like to develop and already have developed would be incredibly important. I think Main Street in general just plays a very important role, because the train station is right there. It would be nice, and it's a great vision to have people come from all over to Hanson to look at some of the amenities that we might have or develop in the near future. I think some of the plans that we've started through the planning board, through our town planner that we're presenting, one of the reasons why I'm running for this seat is to try to have that continuity there. The complete streets projects would be projects that would allow for more sidewalks, more walkable parts of the town just in general, and to beautify the aesthetics of the area. These are long-term plans that are going to take years to really kind of figure out, and they are timeline-based. But once we start going down that road, and it seems like we are making headway towards that type of a future, it opens us up to more funding, more grants, and it'll allow us to do all of those things, which will beautify the area, which will bring more people in, and to really showcase those areas. I think, small businesses coming in, me being a past small business owner in Hanson, I think there are some things we can do tax-wise, walkability. The business that we had in Hanson, right off 27 there, it shut down based off of regulations and just the idea that nobody could walk there. It wasn't walkable. So we like to get all the main roads to have some level of sidewalks, bring people in. I also think that, and I agree with Dawn in this case, that a lot of the sites that we have that aren't developed yet, they don't perk very well. So the idea of sticking businesses in a place where they're susceptible to flooding, I'm not exactly sure that's the right type of business we want, because if we're going to go down that road, we want to make sure that it's a sustainable plan. We don't want to drive businesses out before they even come in. So I'm very much open to the idea of it. But I think that the land has to be appropriate. The aesthetics have to play a key role. And I've been fortunate enough as the chair of the planning board to sit in some of these meetings, and we've discussed the idea of having boardwalks around certain parts of town. And I think it's incredibly important to do that because it beautifies the area. I also would like to see the Cranberry Building be a mixture of businesses and condos and things along those lines. We've been talking about that with the owner and some of the other folks around there for a while now. And there are some kind of roadblocks that kind of get in the way on that, so we have to figure out how to negotiate that. I think that's incredibly important. Yeah, I think that beautifying the area, looking at it from a holistic approach would be great. I think even the Complete Streets project has a bike lane, and the MBTA is probably going to try and install some bikes and the bike racks there. So that even plays into that vision, the idea of people being able to stop at the train station, hop on a bike, ride up and down, see what happens with High Street. It'd be great to have someone go right up there and see what's happening with that. I'm very interested in what the final Plymouth County Reuse Committee is going to be looking at for that. It's great reports. I'd like to see a park down there personally. I think it's a great attraction for people. But I know there's multiple options, so I'm very eager to see what was coming out of that committee through some of the fine folks sitting in this room right now. And I hope that answers your question. But I think it's not such a simple one, but I think that we can do it kind of, we have to look at it in a long-term plan. And we're lucky enough that we have some of these plans hopefully coming down the pike if we can get them done.
Mr. Blood.
I feel like I can't. I feel like I can't add much to that, although I would like to. I would give a shout out to like Dunkin' Donuts,
yes,
which I think they have done a great landscaping job. It's attractive. You get off the train, and the area right around there is a draw.
Yeah.
There's so much more Main Street that is not, and I don't know at this point how much town-owned land there is in that area that we can actually work with. But anything we could do, I mean, I would suggest too, on a volunteer basis, to find a sidewalk, find an area. Mr. Iran's hedgerow is still beautiful. I mean, it's so well maintained that there are these just nice portions of Main Street that you say, if we could get more of Main Street to look like that and less like what's left of the Packy, which,
yeah.
So, I mean, basically that's where I stand. I think everything that has been said here is good. I'm going to be at my Wednesday night's meeting for the Plymouth County Hospital to see where we're going with that. And I'm strong on the open space idea that both Joe and Matt are working with. I grew up right there at the base of Phillip Street. Ocean Spray was my home, which therefore makes me sometimes think, I don't know what is going to happen inside that labyrinth, because it is not a natural. When I go to Lower Mills and Milton or something and see what they've done with the sugar factories and stuff, it's like beautiful condos and so forth. And I'm going, that's not what we have. That's not what Hanson has in Ocean Spray at this point. So there's not an easy answer to jump into that. But I just want to say that there are a couple spaces on Main Street that are doing a great job right now, and if we can find ways to inspire others to, bit by bit, fix up, that would help.
Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary Ann Masio, 552 Main Street. Very interested in green and sustainable issues, as I think many of you know. And so some of the other surrounding communities have gained green community status, and Hanson has started a number of years ago. There's a few more steps. And the surrounding towns like Whitman and Hanover and some of the other towns have been able to get funds from the state through the Green Communities program. So just any comments about trying to pursue that, and if you know any more about that.
Well, why don't we start with Mr. Dyer and we'll work our way around.
Marianne, as you know, I was right there with you at the ground level for developing Green Hanson, which is our grassroots organization here in town, to provide a more sustainable future. I was blessed to be able to work with Jim Armstrong, who is a former selectman and a very knowledgeable man about green technologies and sustainability. And then with our schools being green, I was able to learn about how important it is to build green infrastructure and efficient buildings. And green community status is that next step for us. Right now, our schools aren't eligible for these grants because Hanson doesn't have it. So one thing that I've done in the past was I was on the Energy Efficiency Commission, where we were working towards green community status. And I would really love to see us take that next step. I know serving on Green Hanson, that's something that we've been talking about, and taking that next step towards green community status, because it would be great to get free money to make our town buildings more efficient and provide a more sustainable future for our kids.
I was going to go to Joan now.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. All right, so to answer that question, so when I first moved to Hanson, one of the first people I actually met was Marianne, and I said this to everybody, and I said to her recently that she actually is one of the people that got me involved in just wanting to just do better and contribute back to society in some way. My first introduction to serving on a committee was with Green Hanson. I served on there for a couple of years, and then my personal career kind of went in a different direction. I jumped on some other committees in town, and I tried to stay involved. I tried to be part of some of the cleanup stuff, and I'd like to come back to it definitely. But to answer your question directly, the planning board actually has taken that up as one of the things that we are going to be pursuing, and we started talking about it, I want to say, probably about a month ago, and it's something that we are actually going to be looking towards to try to get that status, if it makes sense for the community. And it seems like it's something that we're really going to be pursuing because it does make sense for us. It opens us up to all kinds of grants. We have a fantastic town planner that really is looking at the overall maintenance of the town into both a short-term and a long-term plan. And she's in agreement at this point that I think that this is something that we have the time, the resources, and the energy to pursue. My only regret is that on May 19th I won't be on the planning board anymore, so I won't be able to kind of see it through. However, we did initiate it, and we do want to start moving towards that, so I think it's incredibly important.
I just might add, so many other communities are now working toward no plastic bags from the towns and stuff. I'm not quite clear why we haven't even heard, I have not heard at least, any movement in that kind of direction. I think there are plenty of avenues that we can start talking about, and I think the Board of Selectmen is as good a place as any to start bringing this stuff up.
Very good. Mr. Howard.
Oh, I was thinking, I forgot to mention, I'm on the Transportation Improvement Program in Brockton. It's the Old Colony Planning Council. And I've been working 8 years on that now. But on the top of the hill by the old Catholic Church and Sullivan's Funeral Home, from Route 58 on McQuon Street, from there to the Pembroke line. Pembroke has Route 14 being reconstructed, as you probably all noticed, from Hanson line to Route 53. Well, I've got the TIP program, I've got McQuon Street on it right now, and it's going through the engineering and design to be redone with sidewalks, curbing, and a new road to continue it from Route 58 to the Pembroke line. That road, as far as I know, has never been done. But also, I'm a water commissioner also in town, and we're putting in at least one and possibly not two wells in the North River watershed. Hanson's fortunate to be split in two places. All the wells that the water is coming from now comes from the aquifer and the Taunton watershed. And there's nothing in the North River watershed. But we've been doing research now for the last year and a half over here off of East Washington State Street and Old Pine Drive, and working with conservation completely. And there's a good chance that there's going to be one or possibly two wells up there. And I just let the residents of Hanson know about this now, so, all right.
Very good. Mr. Young.
Bruce Young, 594 Indian Head Street. I only have to say that once, right? Okay. We've had a recall law in this town since 1986. Our recall law is consistent, the wording of it as far as grounds for recall is consistent with probably 85 to 90% of the towns in the Commonwealth who have recall laws. Article 32 of the town warrant asked the town basically to repeal our existing recall law, which is a state law that applies to the town of Hanson, and replace it with one that would put set restrictions on the grounds that you can recall selectmen for in the town of Hanson. I want to get the opinion of each person running for office what your opinion is on Article 32. Do you support the recall and replace it with the recall law that's being proposed by the current Board of Selectmen, or do you think we should keep the recall law that we now have?
I think we'll start with Mr. Weeks.
Okay, fantastic question. You know, I think the recall law, just in general, is incredibly important because it's a great opportunity for democracy to kind of correct itself when it feels like it needs to, right? So the idea is, democratically, you put someone in office based off of a vote, and if the person is not serving an individual for whatever reason, or serving the community for whatever reason, you should have a right to exercise your opinion in that. I do want to try and take away the idea of my personal opinion right now versus being a person in a selectman seat. I don't know where it's going to be or what it's going to look like in terms of a debate. I think that the idea of it, worth talking about. I think it's fantastic to talk about these things. This is what the democracy is about. This is what genuine, thought-provoking conversation comes from. It comes from stuff like this. I've only heard 2 people debate it so far. I'm interested to see what tomorrow night is going to look like, to really kind of see what the pros and cons of either one of these versions are. I do think that if you place intentional restrictions on something, that it actually does become kind of counterintuitive to a degree. Because the idea is now a lot of the gray area, you may not be able to actually, you might have to go to litigation to try to figure that out, which is a big expense on the town and whatnot. However, I do think that having a broad array of reasons can become difficult and cumbersome. We've been lucky in a sense that the recall law just in general has not been utilized often, and it has been only a few times in the inception of it that it's actually been used. But my genuine interest is in what's going to come from the debate tomorrow, of which I'll kind of make my decision based off of that as a personal citizen. But I do think that the people should have a right to correct something if they feel like they're not being represented the way they intended to be represented when they cast their first vote for that person. Does that answer your question? I hope it does.
Yeah. Mr. Blunt. Without knowing the complete legality of it, I have read it. I would use this as an example. Several years ago, we did have a town administrator who was accused of sexual harassment of a couple females in town hall. And they were women of very good reputations. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that they were being legitimate. And so his employment was terminated. Now, if an elected official was in that position and did that and was accused of sexual harassment, according, I think, to the article that I see right now on town meeting floor, a couple women could, protest, but the only way that person would then be removed would be either he admits that he has sexually harassed these women, or he is convicted in court, which is going to take, I'm going to assume, much longer than it's going to take his term of office. So it's like there's no way to remove that person from the position, even though I'm just going to assume that if with people with good reputations, good intent, make these accusations, it seems to me that the town should have the opportunity to decide in a recall election. I don't believe recall should be used arbitrarily, and 2 of the 4 of us are going to be put in the position that this new recall law could certainly I guess, come back and bite us. But as is, I think what Mr. Weeks was saying, it's like, I do think in the end, the townspeople have the right to make a decision, and we should go by this decision. So I believe that the town bylaw, as Mr. Young has just suggested, is the best way to go. I'm certainly, I know tomorrow night, I'm going to vote against Article 32.
Mr. Howard.
I'd like to, I agree with both Joe and Mr. Bloss. I think everybody in town has the right to bring up any subject and debate and either vote for it or against it. I made a decision to vote that maybe it wasn't right, I don't know, but to get it on the ballot, I think this way here is the opportunity for the residents in the town to vote. All right?
Mr. Dyer.
I personally am against Article 32. I believe it will take away the rights of our voters. I believe that it is our voters who put people into the office, and I believe that it should be up to the voters to be able to take that candidate out of office. And the reason, I believe that Article 32 just adds so many more barriers, and you have to have so much more legality behind it. And if someone is not representing you as they should, they don't respect the office, they should be able to say, time to get out of there and pull recall. I don't believe that it should be up to town council to say, yeah, you should be pulled out. I don't think it should be up to them. I believe it should be up to the voters. And I am against Article 32. And that's how I'll be voting on Tuesday night. No, tomorrow.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Annette Benenato, 72 Brookside Drive. Back to the discussion about beautifying Hanson and being proud of our community, and especially Main Street, Route 27, and I happen to live off of Main Street. The whole recreational marijuana article, well, tomorrow night we'll be voting on the zoning bylaws, but I would like to hear from each of the candidates on how they stand in giving the voters of Hanson the final say of whether we should allow recreational marijuana shops in our town by using a referendum question with a special election ballot as established by the state marijuana law that was passed in July of 2017. So,
although I do not smoke pot myself, I think that absolutely, the town should be, I'm not clear. There are several of us who don't understand why it isn't even on this month's ballot. Yes, I think the town has that right to decide. I keep reading the newspapers and seeing other towns in the last month that have voted for or against it, but it's the townspeople who get to make that decision, not the Board of Selectmen. So it's like, I think it should absolutely be on the next ballot. We should be putting it up. I mean, are we going to allow the sale of it? Are we going to allow the production of it? Are we going to limit it to one little small commercial area in town, or what? But I absolutely think we should be voting on that in a referendum.
Mr. Howard.
Yes, I was surprised at the vote from the town of Hanson. I've worked with the police department for the last 10 years, being a selectman, and they had difficult times even when the law wasn't into effect. And now it makes it more difficult for the police department because when I ever heard that the vote went for having pot in the town of Hanson, I was really disappointed. It proved to me that there's more people smoking pot in it that voted, because I voted to not have the pot in the town. So, like I say again, working with the police department, it makes it more difficult for them now to do their job because their hands are tied on a lot of things. All right?
Follow-up question?
Well, I'd like to have Mr. Dyer speak to it, and then Mr. Weeks, and then we'll come to your follow-up, sir.
Sure, thank you. I believe that it should be on the town ballot. I wouldn't see why a small group should be deciding on changing the culture of our town. So, I mean, put it on the ballot and see where we go with it. And it's a community decision to address this new economy or new culture or whatever you want to call it. But I think it should be on the ballot.
Mr. Weeks?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to try and be as brief as I can, but I also want to try to answer all parts of your question. So the first thing is that you're absolutely right. There is a referendum ability to be able to place this on a ballot, and I think it's a great idea to be able to do that. I think the townspeople should have a right to. I think we definitely took the medical marijuana bill and the medical marijuana vote, and those things passed, but it didn't include the recreational piece. So if the town feels that they want to have a referendum, I'd be in complete support of that as a person on the Board of Selectmen. I think it's a fair thing to have. However, going back to your zoning question, which I think was the beginning part of your question, I can speak to that personally. Again, as the chairman of the planning board, we were very much involved intimately with all of these zonings for these types of facilities, establishments, and just the overall look of it on the town. And we take that incredibly seriously because we are representing the interests of the townspeople and the citizens of Hanson. So we were very methodical in doing all of these things. We not only helped zone the medical marijuana area in the industrial park, but we also helped draft the memorandum. The moratorium that was voted down. We helped do that. We wanted to put it towards the townspeople to make sure that this is something that they really wanted to do. And I think it was back in August. We helped draft the moratorium for town meeting, just so we could really kind of put it out there and say, is this something you guys really, you really want? And we deferred it to town meeting because we felt that it wasn't the job of a planning board member to say that they are pro or against anything, because our job is the zoning piece and the bylaws piece. So we really want to take our own personal opinions and our views out of those things and just provide the town with whatever information they needed to make an informed decision. Now, at that town meeting, the moratorium was voted down. So the town asked us recently for this town meeting to start zoning for recreational marijuana because there was nothing stopping it. They were saying, we need you to do this. Can you start zoning it? Now, in full disclosure, we had different zones designed. In fact, we thought it was a good idea at the time, but that's why we bring in experts to help us out with this. But we were going to stick it right in the Shaw's area because we thought that we could keep an eye on it and it wasn't hidden, so we knew what was going on. And when we invited other towns people to come in, we had a public hearing. It was very well attended. A lot of citizens in town, as well as the police chief, who was like, you know what? I don't think this is a good idea to stick it right there. How about we start moving these things around? And then a great conversation emerged. The police chief was saying, to Don's point, that when the moratorium was voted down, it made his job and his fellow officers' jobs incredibly difficult for various reasons. But we have to put it somewhere because we were asked to, and it's something that we've presented as a result of it to be voted on tomorrow night. Which way that goes, I have no idea. The conversations that we had, the methodical interest that we put into the zoning of these areas were done with the best interests of Hanson and the citizens just in general. And it was done with citizens in the room. It was done with the police chief's input, which was incredibly invaluable. I appreciate his input a lot. We all do. And whether we're for or against it personally, it's beyond what we were asked to do by the town to present something. If it goes back, if it gets voted down, then we deal with it. If it gets voted in, then we deal with that. But it should be presented to the townspeople to vote on. And we did our job in terms of being asked to create not only a mechanism to regulate some of these things and to zone it, but again, we also helped draft the moratorium, at the last town meeting. So we did everything we could. But the biggest takeaway is we want the people's voices to be heard in this. That is what matters. People need to make those votes, and they need to get out there and tell us what we think, because we are only going to be doing what is within our jurisdiction to do. And we hope that we did a good job, even if it does get voted down, even if you disagree with it. We hope that resonates, that we did the best we could to try to meet all the needs of the townspeople.
Do we have a follow-up question? Yes, sir.
Ken Duty, My question is actually to Selectman Howard. Since you currently sit on the board and you're concerned with the marijuana law, so aren't I, why didn't the board ever take any action to actually be able to present this? I mean, that you're the ones that would have either on town meeting or a ballot to present this for us to vote on. Why wasn't this done?
Mr. Howard?
I have to think about this a little bit. Because I was against everything to begin with, and like I say, I was disappointed when the vote came out that the town voted to have it in the town. And I have to go along with Joe now on everything that he said on what's happening. It's up to the people to decide. It's not up for me, it's not personally or anything of that nature. To be honest with you, no, I was really dismayed because of the vote, the way it came out, because I didn't think Hanson would vote that way. I'm sorry, I'm against it totally, to be honest with you.
I think we have time for one more question. Anybody? Mr. Young?
Okay, I'll just throw this one in. A couple of years ago, a proposition was brought up by a member of the Board of Selectmen, which would basically take away the citizen management of Camp Kewanee, both the rental facilities and Cranberry Cove, from the Recreation Commission and the Recreation Director, and completely privatize the town facility either by lease or sale to a private vendor. I'd like to get your reaction to that and how you feel about that possibly happening in the future.
Mr. Howard?
To be honest with you, I wasn't involved in a lot of that, and I really don't have an answer for it, to be honest with you.
Would anybody like to address it?
Sure.
Mr. Dyer.
Having been working with the Department of Conservation and Recreation, having been a national park ranger, both out in Missouri and up in Maine, this is a really close issue to me because I truly believe in public recreation. It should not be privatized because that's what sets America apart from every other country, was we decided to preserve our land, but also make sure that we had that balance between conservation and recreation, and trying to find that delicate balance. And I don't see selling Camp Kewanee being useful to our future, because I truly believe that it is something that is really close to everyone here in the town of Hanson and our area, because it is a beautiful resource. I would love to see more recreation up there. I want to make sure that the beach and the cove is ready to go, and people actually start utilizing it as a camp as it was purchased for. So I hope that it never is privatized, because I believe in public conservation and recreation. Does that answer your question?
Mr. Weeks?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think that privatizing Camp Kewanee would be good in the best interest of the town by any means. I think that amongst the many things that Hanson should be proud of, Camp Kewanee should be right up there as one of the highest priorities of the things that we really that makes Hanson special. It really does. I learned to swim there. My wife learned to swim there. My kids learned to swim there. They even got the nicknames for the swim instructors. I know you were a swim instructor there for a while. Emma from the Cove is what my oldest daughter calls her. So we're very much involved there. We love it. We've had many family members that have been married there. We've gone to the plays there. We love that area. Privatizing it doesn't do us any good. I think that this is one of those things where we have to invest in the resources that we have. I mean, would it be nice to have it to be sustainable, self-sustainable? That's fine. That's a great idea, business-wise. But we want to make sure that we don't lose the essence of what Camp Kewanee is, because it is the heart of Hanson to some degree. So we want to keep it there, utilize it for recreation. I think it's incredibly important for that. That is one of the main attractions that we have. In fact, I know plenty of people that come down from all over the South Shore and other areas that come here just because of Camp Kewanee and the lodge and the camping experiences and all of the things that we've been doing there for years. So we don't want to lose that. We really don't. I've spent a lot of time running nonprofits in my personal life. I was just recently ended I was the president of the Massachusetts Mental Health Councils Association. I'm currently the president of the American Mental Health Councils Association, both incredibly important nonprofits in the state and the country. And they're nonprofits, and you have to always weigh the balance between what the soul of your organization is. And you don't, if you privatize everything and it's just about the money, then you lost who you were. And that's not what Camp Kiwanee was about, and I think that's why privatization is not something that we want to move forward with. We want to be able to invest in a place that we've been proud of for generations and will continue to be proud of for generations. And again, I want my kids to have the same experiences I had growing up there, so I think if we privatize it, we lose it. I know it's a long-winded answer, so I hope that answers your question.
Well, I totally agree with Joe and Matt. I don't think I have anything particular to add to that. I was certainly involved in the buying of Camp Kiwanee back in 1979, and we bought it as a town recreational community center. Recreation is older than Kiwanee. We had recreation before we bought Kiwanee for that purpose. And since then, I think Kiwanee has served well as a community center, a recreation area, and the weddings and the rentals have been used to subsidize that. For me, as long as Camp Kiwanee continues as a recreation area and provides quality recreational programs, either for free, because the weddings, that's why the weddings are there, to pay for it, or very sustainable, cheap rates, so that everybody in town, whatever your income, can be involved. As long as we keep Camp Kiwanee on that footing, I think, as Matt and Joe have said, I think we'll do well. That's my hope. That's my hope for the future.
All righty. So why don't we? Oh,
no, I just said I agree with everybody.
Very good. Why don't we go to our closing statements then? So we'll go in reverse order, Mr. Blouse.
I just want to thank Michelle and the Republican Committee, Kathy and the Democratic Committee, and just everybody for turning out. I think it says something good about our town that people show an interest, and I just appreciate the opportunity to run. I've never run for an elected position. I was scared as anything to be here today, just about biting my nails short, but it's like, it worked out okay. I think I could not be prouder of the other three candidates. I think you can't do wrong by voting for any one of the four of us for this, and thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Weeks.
Well, you got to follow that. I appreciate it. I just want to say, you know, I really appreciate everything that everyone's done here. Thank you again, Michelle, for organizing this, Kathy for organizing it for the Democratic Town Committee, the folks for being here to sit through this and to really get informed. I think it's incredibly important. It's a great showing of how important democracy is in our area and just in general. Thank you for the people at home for being here and just wanted to get more information off of all of us and the other candidates that were nice enough to be here and the others that that are putting their hat in the ring. Thank you, Sean, for doing this. You did a really good job. I appreciate that, keeping us on track. One of the things I really just want to say is, I really hope it shows that my heart is in Hanson, that I genuinely believe in not only just the democratic process in general, but I believe in the people, the projects, the essence, the buildings, the brick, the mortar, the streets, everything. I love everything about Hanson, and it's incredibly important for me to really kind of let that show and let that shine. I'm here for genuine reasons. My grandparents are here, by the way. Other people, this is one of the reasons why. I got to be mindful, because if I ever tried to raise taxes to a point where people couldn't live here anymore, these people would hold me to the fire. So they're right there for me. Thank you for coming. I really just want people to know that I'm here for the people. I'm here for the buildings. I'm here for everything that Hanson is. I've worked incredibly hard over the years. I've jumped on committees right from the start. I really wanted to get an understanding of what the inner workings of Hanson are and where we need to go. I think that being a selectman is a very difficult task. You're not just running for a selectman seat, you're running for that seat plus all the subcommittees, plus you're supposed to have a good understanding of how things work beyond that. And I'm really hoping that that you see that I've put some time in. I've really tried to be mindful of the projects, get my feet wet, get my feet in the door. and really make sure that I understand these projects, because it's incredibly hard to learn how to be a selectman. It's incredibly hard to learn it while also learning the projects that have been going on for years. And I'm really trying to present a really, kind of a well-rounded person here for you all. And I want you to know I'm doing it for the right reasons. I really hope that I've earned your vote on May 19th, and we'll see you at the polls. And thank you to these folks here. It was great to meet you, great to know you, and good luck.
Mr. Dyer.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight, and thank you for the Republican Committee and the Democratic Committee and all of you for being here. A huge shout out to all my supporters, because I can't do it by myself, so thank you for coming out and showing your support. Over the last few months, back in January, I started pouring the foundation of the committee, and I started going out and talking to a lot of different people. But I also went off and talked to a lot of departments. Talked with fire, talked to police, talked to the schools, talked with Mike McHugh and several selectmen. And it has been quite the journey in learning about each facet of each department and how they're trying to overcome different issues. And by learning all of that, it's been a great ride and being able to try to figure out solutions. Now, I don't believe that the selectmen should just be here, focusing here just on town issues. But as I was chatting with a couple of department heads, they said, Matt, you need to make sure that you also go to the State House and you make sure that the State House upholds their end of the agreement on several different contracts, so that you have the funding coming in, so you can do full-day kindergarten, which I truly believe that we need in our town, because other cities around us, they are doing full-time kindergarten. And would I want to buy a house in Hanson without full-time kindergarten and have to pay an extra tuition? Or do I want to go to Rockland and get all those services within my taxes? So I want to make sure that we have a diversified tax basin so we can afford these services and make our community great going forward. Thank you.
Mr. Howard.
I'd like to thank the Republican and Democratic Party for putting this on. And I think the taxpayers of the town of Hanson have a very difficult decision to make, because we have 4 good, excellent candidates up here at the table. And that's basically all I have to say. I enjoy working here. I enjoy doing what I've been doing. But like I say, we have 4 excellent candidates up here, so it's going to be up to the townspeople to select the ones they want. Thank you.
So that concludes the selectmen's portion of the town forum. The voters can pick 2 of these 4, and I'll just reiterate, it's going to be a difficult choice, I think. But thank you to all of the candidates for coming and answering the questions. The final spot on the ballot is for moderator, which is me. No one was foolish enough to other than me, to take out papers for this job, but I would appreciate your vote. I hope I've earned it over the past year. And I'll use the rest of my time to just promote tomorrow night, May 7th, the town meeting at 7:30 at the middle school. Please come out and debate the issues and talk about the various issues that are out there. Is there actually a question?
Refreshments.
Oh, refreshments, yes. I haven't done promoting town meeting. We're going to... Now, the last town meeting in December was 14 minutes long. I'm going to try and break that record. No, that's impossible. But we will give everyone who comes out a chance to debate the topics on the warrant, and I look forward to seeing all of you again tomorrow night, 7:30 at the middle school. And Mr. Pasqua-Egan reminds me that there are refreshments in the next room. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for joining us on TV, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.